Belum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we would have a debate between Team A as the affirmative team and Team B as the opposite team. Besides that, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Afifah Nabilaah as your moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our debate today, allow me to introduce you for each team. In affirmative team, we have Muhammad Bayu Heri Permana as the first speaker, and then we have Nurul Habibaturosyi'ah as the second speaker, and also Afifah Nabilaah as the third speaker. In opposite team, we have Salma Syadilla as the first speaker, and then we have Alif, Ardi, Andrias as the second speaker, and also Arisya Putri as the third speaker. All right, for today's debate, the motion is the odd-even rule in Indonesia should be repealed. So let's start our debate because each team has finished up their building and they are ready to debate. Allow me to call the first speaker from the affirmative team to deliver the opinion. For the first speaker of the affirmative team, time is yours.
All right. Thank you. This House agrees that the odd-even rule in Indonesia should be repealed. The odd-even rule was never meant to be a permanent solution. Even though the government has made an initiative such as this, they haven't thought through it far enough. People who live in the metropolitan city can choose to take public transportation, but what about people who live out of town and in other places that aren't well connected? And people in the odd-even rural area that want to be out of town in intensive time. So the odd-even rule is a very consuming time solution that cannot be permanently operated. According to Statistika Research Department, Indonesia is the largest automotive market in ASEAN with 250 million people, and the largest number of cars in use was measured around 17 million units with a significant potential for growth in the near future. This figure did not come out of anywhere. In fact, it reflects that the constant expansion of the automotive sector in Indonesia. So solution for this is not the odd-even rule, but we need to increase road tax by 100%, like Singapore has done, increase parking fees by 100%, tax vehicle showrooms as well, heavily impose special expenses on all vehicle spare parts. All of the people should learn to get off their cars and learn to walk or use public transportation. Because it will help us to reduce traffic and pollution. Also, if the government imposes these rules, then nobody else can do anything. Simultaneously, the work must be done intensively with an increased pace so that we don't need the odd-even rule anymore. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the first speaker from the affirmative team. And now I will call the first speaker from the opposite team to deliver the opinion. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. So I will reply Bayu's argument as the first opposite party. I certainly do not agree if the odd-even regulations is repealed. As we all know, traffic jams in the capital city of Jakarta are not new to us. Many people have to be stuck in traffic jams for more than 2 hours. Therefore, the government applies the odd-even regulations to reduce traffic jams in the capital city of Jakarta. In my opinion, this regulation has been quite effective enough in reducing traffic jams. And if these regulations is repealed, then the traffic jams will get even worse than before. Yes, the government could increase the road tax up to 100% or increase the parking fee by 100%, as Bayu said earlier. However, are people willing to accept these regulations on increasing taxes and parking fees? Maybe people from the upper classes can afford to pay the tax, because they have the money, then how about the people from the middle and lower classes? They will feel burdened if the tax and parking fees increase. And in the end, there will be a massive demonstrations to reject these regulations on increasing in taxes and parking fees. Then what about public transportations? Why don't people use public transportations to solve the existing traffic jams problem? In my opinion, public transportations in Indonesia is very inadequate. As we know, the RT project has not been fully completed yet since 2013. In addition, other example of public transportation such as Transjakarta is less safe for the public. Many people experience pickpockets when using Transjakarta. This is what causes them to prefer to use private transportations other than public transportations because they feel safer. We cannot equate our country with countries like Singapore and Japan, starting from the income side of the people, which tend to be so high so they can afford to pay high taxes. And the public transportations in these countries is very adequate. This cannot be equated with our country. Most of the people have insufficient income, and the existing public transportations is very inadequate. Therefore, the odd-even regulations is the only hope for the government to reduce traffic jams in the capital city of Jakarta. So I disagree if the odd-even regulations is being repealed. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the argument from the first speaker of opposite team. And now let's move on to the second speaker of the affirmative team. Time is yours.
I will reply Salma's argument as the second affirmative. I am not agree if the odd-even rule continues to apply because according to Salma's opinion, the odd-even rule can solve traffic jam, but I think odd-even is not the right solution to solve the congestion because with an odd-even road, people who usually cross the road will turn to a road that does not apply the odd-even rule. Of course, this makes traffic jams move from one road to another road. Therefore, I think the odd-even rule is not an effective regulation to reduce congestion. Odd-even rules will only move to the point of congestion. And again, for people who have a lot of money, they may prefer to buy another car to avoid odd even. So they have two cars, one odd number and one even number. Of course, it will further aggravate the conditions of the highway. In addition to increasing congestion because because one person has more than one car. It also increase air pollution. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, the second speaker of affirmative team. And now let's invite the second speaker of opposite team. Time is yours.
I strongly disagree with Nurul's statement that the odd-even rule is not one of the right solution to overcome traffic jams. According to BPS record of DKI Jakarta province in 2020, the number of car vehicles has reached more than 3 million. With the increasing number of vehicles every day, residents' mobility will also increase. Of course, regulations are needed that can limit the mobility of these residents. Quoting from mindthetruckchat.com, after the DKI Jakarta Transportation Agency implement the odd-even rule, the number of passenger car units in Jakarta dropped for more than 25,000 vehicles per hour to just under 18,000. The problem of traffic jams has also been reduced, thereby making the travel time of motorists faster. After this policy was implemented, car and motorcycle drive in Jakarta spend an average of 60 minutes to reach one destination. With this data, we can see that the odd-even rule has a very positive impact on reducing traffic congestion. I think that's all from me.
All right, thank you so much. This is the second speaker of opposite team. And now let's have the third speaker from the affirmative teams. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I can see what you mean, but I also disagree with your statement. Because to reduce congestion on the highway, the odd-even rule does not always apply. The odd-even rule still hasn't solved the problem in the capital city. In the short term, odd-even can relatively reduce the level of congestion at certain times and on certain routes. But in the long term, it is not efficient. The solution that can be taken is to immediately implement an electronic road pricing or ERP system to control the use of private motorist vehicles which cause congestion and bad air in Jakarta. Using an ERP system is up to people who want to go which way they must pay to get through the road. If you don't pay, you can go that way. Odd even restrictions do not reduce vehicle density but instead encourage people to buy cars. With time, vehicle will increase continuously and road capacity is difficult to increase. As especially in Jakarta with a narrow area. In addition, it has happened a lot. People have outsmarted them by falsifying their vehicle number plates to get away with odd even rates on the road. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, the third speaker from the affirmative team. And now let's have a third speaker from opposite team. Time is yours.
Okay, I don't agree with your opinion because I think the odd-even regulation is effective in Indonesia, especially in big cities. With the odd-even regulation in big cities areas, congestion has decreased and the number of passengers has even increased. That is, our society is indeed moving from private vehicle to public transportation. Well, we want it to last. In the future, congestion condition will continue to decline. In addition to reducing congestion, or even regulation can reduce air pollution. Due to reduce driving mobility, if we continue to compare one regulation with another, it will be difficult to achieve maximum result because it is not easy to apply or imitate. So it must be start from self-awareness for the common good. We as a society must begin to learn and accept the regulation made as best as possible by the government to reduce congestion in Indonesia. This odd-even rule will actually be easy to succeed if we as a society are willing to obey and be aware to follow the existing regulation and not cheat, because cheating occurs because of human selfishness. There is no doing something if we want to do it. So basically, I think all regulations made by the government are for the good of the community, such as this odd-even regulation. If people now want to odd-even regulation to be abolished and replaced with other regulations such as ERP, will it reduce the number of traffic jams in Indonesia, or will it be replaced with other new regulation? For now, it is better for the people to live and accept and comply with the regulation made by government as best they can. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, the speaker of opposite team. And now let's have a reply speech from the opposite team. Time is yours.
Okay, so to close the argument from the opposite party, I can conclude that the odd-even regulation implemented in the capital city of Jakarta is efficient enough to reduce the existing traffic jams problem. As previously stated by Alif, the use of private vehicles has decreased from 25,000 vehicles per hour to 18,000 vehicles. This is sufficient to show that the odd-even regulation have been effective in overcoming the traffic jams problems. And as Arisya said, this odd-even regulation can help people learn to obey the existing rules. The existing odd-even regulations is already efficient to reduce the traffic jams problem in the capital city of Jakarta. And if these regulations is repealed, then the traffic jams will get even worse than before. Thank you.
All right, and now let's have a reply speech from the affirmative team. Time is yours.
Thank you. As the representation of the affirmative party, I will now conclude our arguments. They claim that the odd-even rule is already effective in major cities and that if the government raises car ownership taxes, there would be a protest. However, we must keep an eye of potential future problems. The point we are making is that the odd-even rule should be repealed since it was a short-term solution when we needed a long-term one. As previously said, Indonesia is a massive country with a quickly growing vehicle population. Rich people will be able to get around the odd-even rule by owning 2 cars or more. As a result, we must restrict car ownership by increasing taxes and other expenses associated with car ownership. It will also contribute to the conservation of our environment due to vehicles pollution. And as stated by Afifah before, the introduction of an electronic route pricing or ERP system would also be preferable to the odd-even rule. The long-term solution is to avoid the future and current problems that Indonesia will have. Furthermore, it is no secret that Indonesia has a history of people breaching rules due to a lack of effective government supervision. Thus, the government should develop rules that cannot be deceived or even be broken. The government requires a long-term strategy that addresses environmental issues, traffic issues, rising population issues, and vehicle issues so that the government can properly handle the problems as well as the society from the core of the troubles. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for both teams. They already delivered their opinion really well. And that is all from our debate today. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.